మన బాధ్యత మనం నిర్వర్తించడం కూడా దేశభక్తే. మార్పు మనతోనే మొదలవ్వాలి. I am that change.
I am that change.
I am that change.
I am that change.
Be that change.
नहीं होगा यार।
सर आपके लिए उस पार कार का इंतजाम किया है सर। सर आइए सर। ये चल चल क्या बात करता है? क्या ऊपर से जाएगा? क्या ऊपर से? जा जा।
गया मेन शो।
I hate this country. कुछ करो ना।
अब मैं वहां जाके क्या उखाड़ लूंगा?
कैसी जाने बूंदे आई, जाने कैसा दर्द लाई, सामने क्या है ये तेरे, क्यों रुका है तू बता रे हो। तुझको पार लेगा, कौन होगा वो मसीहा, वो जिसे तू ढूंढता है, वो ही है तू वही है। तुझ में तेरा रास्ता है, तुझ में तेरा है सहारा, तू ही तुझको पार लेगा, तू ही है तेरा किनारा। तुझ में तेरा रास्ता है, तुझ में तेरा है सहारा, तू ही तुझको पार लेगा, तू ही है तेरा किनारा।
Hello, is my audio and video clear?
Yes, sir.
Hi, friends. I am Dr. Joju John, Principal in Charge, Marthaplus Training College, Nalanjara, Trivandrum. It's my delight and joy to welcome all of you to this outstanding webinar on an outstanding topic, positive parenting. Actually, this is an extension program of Marthaplus Training College, reaching to the society. This program is organized by the IQAC of Marthaplus Training College and the extension wing of Marthaplus Training College. Special thanks to Shiny teacher and Dr. Deepthi. Warm welcome everyone to this platform, to this extension program. As the principal of the college, I am really delighted to welcome all of you. The honor is mine to welcome all of you to this program. Warm welcome everyone. Over to you, Sanila, please.
Thank you so much, sir. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our positive parenting section by Marthaplus Training College. Let me start with the words of David Bailey. Your children will become what you are, so be what you want them to be. Let us start our program with prayer. Prayer is the man's greatest power.
ലോകം മുഴുവൻ സുഖം പകരാനായി സ്നേഹദീപമേ മിഴി തുറക്കൂ ലോകം മുഴുവൻ സുഖം പകരാനായി സ്നേഹദീപമേ മിഴി തുറക്കൂ സുഖം പകരാനായി സ്നേഹദീപമേ
Thank you so much, Jojo sir, for such a great prayer song. Let me welcome Deepthi ma'am for the welcome address.
Good evening. Parenting is an art, perhaps the best art in the universe. Art of making Gandhis and Lincolns. Today, MTTC, IQAC and Extension Wing is organizing an extension program on positive parenting. Mrs. Shiny Jacob, Extension Wing Coordinator of Theophilus Training College, is giving powerful and creative leadership for the programs under Extension Wing. Welcome, Shiny Teacher. Dr. Ansi Teacher, Assistant Professor, Theophilus Training College, is giving all the technical support for the program. I would like to welcome you, teacher. Dr. Jojo John, the principal of Theophilus Training College, is a life skill trainer and a well-known motivational speaker. It's under his leadership that we are organizing the program. Hearty welcome, sir. Swami Gurunand Jnanathapaswi is an exceptional resource person. His talks in YouTube are watched by people again and again. He is an expert in peace education, brain science, and parenting. I would like to welcome you, Swamiji, to deliver the expert talk. Last but not the least, I would like to welcome all the participants, teachers, and staff of Theophilus Training College to the program. I wish you all a fruitful session ahead. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Deepthi ma'am. Now, let me welcome our principal in charge, Dr. Jojo John sir, for the please, sir.
Thank you very much, Vanilla. So, am I audible? Is my video and audio okay?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hi, Swamiji, faculty members of different colleges, parents, students, and friends. It's my great delight to welcome all of you to this program, even though Dr. Deepthi, IQAC coordinator of Theophilus Training College, has extended a warm welcome to everyone. Theophilus Training College was founded in 1956. It has produced around 10,000 teachers in its journey of nation building. Okay, so now the extension wing of Theophilus Training College and IQAC are organizing a handful of programs for the society, for developing harmony in our society in this age of stress and strain, storm and strife. And today's topic happens to be an outstanding topic. And I would like to tell you something about this topic, and I would like to introduce Swamiji also. Parenting is perhaps the most important creative act, creative art of the world. So, in the process of parenting, we are creating great people. And it's William Shakespeare who said, some are born great. Some greatness is bestowed upon, and some aspire for greatness and gradually achieve greatness through excellence. By the by, excellence is not chance, it is our choice. Every day, day by day, by continuous professional development, we achieve excellence and greatness. So parenting also, it's really true about parenting also. So it's an art. We have to learn it. And in our own families, we have to produce Einsteins, Newtons, Mother Teresa's, APJ Abdul Kalam's, and Gandhi's. That's the mission of parents. That's the duty of parents, and that's the mission of parents. We can do this by learning more about parenting. There are different types of parenting. Out of the 4 basic types of parenting, authoritative parenting is the worst. Parents behaving like dictators. Now, permissive parenting is also not good. We are permitting our students to do everything. We never say no to them. Neglectful parenting is really bad. Parents neglect children. Parents do not know the details of the students, the birthday of the students. Such type of parenting is bad. Best parenting is authoritative parenting, befriending the kids, and at the same time saying no to them when we need to say no to them. These are the four types of parenting, basic types of parenting. Out of this, authoritative parenting is the best. And we need to hug our children a lot. We need to focus on the needs of our children, and we need to give them quality time. These are the duties of parents. So, parenting is not a simple thing. It is perhaps the best thing that we can do, and we can create and develop great humans, and we can nurture them. That is the first part of my talk. And I am really delighted to listen to Swami Gurunand Jnanathapaswi. In my journey of life skill training for the last 32 years, I have seen many resource persons, but I couldn't learn a lot from many. Only I learned a lot of things from only handful of people. And this resource person, Gurunand Jnanathapaswi, is an exceptional person. Whenever I listen to him, I get new insights, and I am empowered by his words and his vision. And he happens to be a member of Martha Plus Training College family itself. I have great joy to introduce Swamiji before all of you, and I'm damn sure that you are going to benefit a lot. Plenty of take home today, because the resource person is an exceptional resource person, and it's important that we have satsang with such eminent personalities, so that we would develop greater vision and greater commitment. Swamiji, thank you very much for your presence. And as the principal in charge of Martha Plus Training College, so it's my proud privilege to introduce you and welcome you to this season's first extension program. And I'm really happy that you have consented in short span of time, and you are giving an outstanding talk. On behalf of everyone, I would like to welcome Swamiji to deliver the keynote address today. After the keynote, we'll be having a short interactive session, and we'll wind up exactly at 8:30. Thank you very much. Wishing you good times, friends. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jojo sir, for such a great inspirational words. Let me now invite Swami Gurunand for the keynote address. Please, Swamiji. Thank you.
Am I audible?
Yes, Swamiji. Thank you.
It's a great pleasure to be present along with you. And the very words of our principal, Dr. Joju Jones, sir, is really inspiring. It puts me in a greater obligation also. I will try my best to convey some insights that I gather through my life. So let me move on with the presentation. Is the presentation visible?
Yes, yes, Swamiji, it's visible.
Today we will be discussing about positive parenting. So really, we cannot do the same parenting types to each and every age group. So, in my opinion, there are different types of parenting. That is proactive parenting. That is, we become a parent when we give birth to a child. But even before that, we have to be careful about, we must know many things before being a parent. So you have to get mentally and physically prepared for that. So parenting starts much before the real birth of your child. So all these things come under proactive parenting. So we will be reactive parents if you are reacting to the child's needs after their birth. But we have to be uh, careful about our child or our children before they are taking birth. That is proactive parenting. So, likewise, early childhood parenting, it is a different concept than childhood parenting and teenage parenting. Of these, I will be focusing on mainly on childhood and teenage parenting because uh, the challenges of parenting is faced while we are parenting this, especially the teens. So, uh, since that is the highest challenging area, I will be focusing main on how to deal with the teenagers. So for that, you must know your teens. Much changes are happening uh, during the teenage period. They grow taller and heavier, their bones grow bigger and heavier, the face gets longer, then they get more muscles and fat, hair and skin can become oily, body sweats more and becomes smelly, body hair grow, then voice gets deeper and higher, internal and external sex organs grow. So these are the physical things happening. They may have sexual thoughts and feelings. So these are the things happening in the physically. At the same time, they are faced with many challenges. There will be verbal frustration. That means they will have difficulty in using their language, and many a times that becomes threatening and aggressive. They lack tolerance. They have low impulse control. They are they face they are trying to take more risks in their life. They feel they're sleeping harder and they sleep longer. Then there is increase of appetite. So all the teenagers are the same, whether it is a human being or an animal. See, that's why this particular cartoon is placed there. Even a teenage mouse will act like that. They also takes risk in their lives, and also they have higher friendship circles. They want more independence. They are look conscious. They struggle with their sense of identity. That means uh, in which way they are getting accepted in a community or in the family or among their friends. Then they face much mood swings and they fall in relationships. All these appear as challenges in their uh, teenage life or adolescent life. So what causes these changes? Say, it is because of the hormones, the neurotransmitters, and especially their brain. See, the pituitary gland deep inside their brain gets things started. The puberty begins by the triggering of pituitary gland. It sends out growth hormones to the sex organs to get them to start making sex hormones. See, testosterone and estrogen, they are the uh, sex hormones produced. So this testosterone and estrogen, they makes much changes in their body, and it is responsible for uh, or making them fall in love. That may be a concern for many of the parents. So it is quite natural that they get attracted to the opposite sex. So then comes the role of neurotransmitters, dopamine and norepinephrine, then serotonin, oxytocin, vasopressin. All these are neurotransmitters, and they also play very great role in physical attraction and attachments. So whatever problems they are happening, it is not because of their behavior, but it is because of these hormones and the neurotransmitters that are produced in their body. So there are much things happening inside their brain. It is because of the brain changes, they are prone to take high risks, and they are highly emotional also. The main thing happening is pruning of connections inside their brain. By age of 11 for girls and 12 for boys, the neurons in the front of their brain, or that is the forebrain, have formed thousands of new connections. Over the next few years, most of these links get pruned, like a gardener prunes the unwanted plants in a garden so as to give a desired shape to the garden. Our brain cuts off unwanted connections. Whatever connections that we are not frequently using, they get pruned. Those that are used are reinforced. The pathway involved in language, for example, will be strengthened, while the ones that aren't used will die out. It's quite natural. And this thing causes many changes in their behavior and in their nature also. See, in a newborn, 700 new neural connections are formed per second. So, much synapses, that is the connection between the neurons, are formed in the case of a child. So, it is called a proliferation. It is enhancing in a very greater way. But what happens when they reach the teenage? So the pruning will be highly extensive with the beginning of teenage. Much of the connections that are not frequently used will be pruned off or cut short. In adolescence, most of the pruning is taking place in the frontal lobes. And these frontal lobes are responsible for our executive functions that we will discuss. The adolescence loses approximately 3% of the gray matter in the frontal lobes. So when they reach the teenage period, much neural changes happen, and all the behavioral changes are caused by the changes happening in their brain. And it is very important to know that the brain of an adolescent child is not yet matured. Even though they are physically matured, even at the age of 18, they are considered to be matured, but really the brain is not that much matured. The maturing of brain happens till the early 20s. You can see from the figure that the blue regions show the lessening of gray matter or larger percentage of white matter. So I won't going deep into the conversion of gray matter and white matter, but the brain matures only after 20s. So that highly affects the decision-making processes and their risk-taking behavior. See, for the teenagers, the brain grows and continually changes in the young people. It is only about 80% developed in the adolescents. The last session to connect is the frontal lobe, responsible for cognitive processes such as reasoning, planning, and judgment. Normally, this mental merger is not completed until sometime between 25 and 30 years old. So, the adolescent years, the teenagers have greater capacity to learn and create. They have increased risk of damage from drugs and alcohol. They have increased risk of developing addiction and increased risk of mental illness, increased desire for risk taking, and parts of the brain that control impulses and emotions are not yet matured. So, and going a bit deeper, our brain has three vertical levels. The first part, that is the brain stem, it is the survival part. Then the second part, that is the emotional part or the limbic system, and it is always concerned about being loved. Survival state, it always checks whether the person is safe or not. And the prefrontal lobes or the forebrain, it is concerned with the executive functions. What I can learn from this. So that will be the main concern of the frontal parts. The prefrontal cortex or the frontal brain, it has 9 important functions. It is concerned with empathy, insight, that is seeing deeper into a particular thing. Then it is responsible for cognitive flexibility, the flexibility in taking decisions. Then emotional regulation, then body regulation, the morality, intuition, then attuned communication. That means you will be communicating differently to different persons. But all these capacities are low during adolescent period, and also fear modulation. So all these capacities will be less as far as a teenager is concerned. All this happens because the prefrontal cortex is yet to develop much. At the same time, the limbic brain is highly active. It is concerned with the fight, flight, freeze, and stress responses. Things, am I safe? Do people want me? Do people love me? Then emotions also live here. So the limbic brain is highly active, while the prefrontal cortex is yet to develop. The prefrontal cortex is what allows us to think about the future, to understand consequences, and generally make better decisions. In teenagers, the impulsive side of the brain is charging ahead. That is, the limbic system is charging ahead, while the cautious side of the brain is still underdeveloped. So you can see from the animation that even though it is an animation, it is from a scientific research. So there is the limbic system becomes highly active by the age of 15, while the development of the prefrontal cortex is not yet complete till they reach 25. So there is a gap of 10 years between the maturation of limbic system and the prefrontal cortex. That is, their executive functions will be under stake. So while considering your teenagers or adolescents, please consider that they are not able to make responsible decisions like you. So don't expect them to behave as adults. They are still immature. So please give this consideration to them. See, it is only by the age of 30 the connections become stronger and stable. Till then, the brain is under construction. Please give provision to this particular aspect while you are taking decisions regarding your adolescence, both in family and also in school matters. Then another very important thing is the sleep. See, it is it's also the product of scientific research. For teenagers, they actually need 8 to 10 hours of sleep. And also, it is very important that their circadian rhythm is undergoing changes. So they cannot wake up actually in the early morning stage. And also, because of the changes in the circadian rhythm, they may not be able to sleep in the prescribed time. So many of the parents will be expecting their teens to go to sleep by 9 or 10, but their brain will be still active because the internal clock, that is the circadian clock, is not switched off. It will reach the time of 12 or 1. So they will be still under sleep by the time by 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. So uh, actually it is very difficult for them if the school is starting by 8 o'clock. Many a times there is government is planning to make some arrangements in the timing of school functioning, but I think they have to consider this particular aspect of the circadian clock inside their brain. So they need much time to sleep. That is very important for them. And also they need much exercise also. For the proper functioning of the brain, they need much exercise also. So while dealing with our teenagers, we are making much mistakes. So the first one is overreacting. All the problems the teenagers are creating, it is actually because of the changes happening inside their brain. But since we are not aware of that, we attribute all these things to the personality of the child or as the nature of the child. So many a times uh, uh, parents will be overreacting to their emotional needs, then giving into your teens each whim. Sometimes they will be willfully forcing much things, and sometimes, many a times, parents may not be able to tolerate their uh, emotional outbursts, and they give in, and that's also a mistake from the parents. So we will discuss how to manage all these things. Then we will be constantly complaining about their behavior. So never show negativity and talk rudely to teenagers, especially not to any child, and especially to teenagers. They feel it as a threat. Then breaking promises. Never take obligations as if it is a piece of cake. That means they take promises highly valuable, and we also discuss about that later. Then getting impatient. Many a times the parents get chakkar aata hai. Their head goes out when the teenagers are behaving in a particular way. There will be large arguments inside the house. They may not be able to confine with the requirements of their parents. So parents get impatient and they get emotionally excited. Then the another side is trying to be the child's best friend forever. That's also a mistake from our side that Jojo sir has already mentioned about that. So we are moving into deeper into our topic. So what is positive parenting? Positive parenting, it is the art and science of developing children as valuable and capable adults by nurturing affirmative and healthy relationship with them. So it is both an art and science because whatever we have discussed earlier, it is deep inside their brain, and we must know about the changes happening in the teenagers, and especially not especially teenagers, but regarding all the children, how they are physically changing, how they are emotionally changing, that we must be knowing about that to make better decisions. So positive parenting is the art and science of developing our children as valuable and capable adults, and while nurturing positive and healthy relationship with them. So during the process of parenting, parents try to shape their children according to their own convictions. And these convictions we get from our parents and other media also, while children try to shape themselves, usually making it a battle of powers. So children cannot become conforming adults. That means uh, they have to be adults, they have to become adults, but they have to be confining to our wish and will. But that happens at the expense of their own individuality. So instead of being responsible for your children, you have to be responsible to them. So we will be discussing how to be responsible to them, not responsible for them. Taking a responsibility for your kids necessarily orbits your life around them, needing to prove that you have done a good job. If your child is not performing in a nice way, definitely the people will be telling that Valarthu dosha. That's the term used in Malayalam. But you cannot do that. This often leads to a relationship damaging approach in parenting. So if you are taking responsibility for whatever things your child is doing, the relationship will be damaging. So what we have to do, this does not mean you turn a blind eye or deaf ear towards your kids. You have to be responsible to your children for whatever you do to them. You cannot be responsible for all the activities of your children, but you can be responsible to what you are doing to them. I think you got the differences. You need to take a serious look at the lasting relationships you would like to have with your children. So that is the important thing, how the relationship is maintained. So we will be discussing the positive parenting tips under certain headings. So the first one is be in control of yourself. Parenting is not about kids, actually. It is about parents. By focusing on yourself, you will have a healthier and happier relationship with your whole family. So you have to give importance to your relationships inside your family. Our biggest struggle as parents is with our own emotional reactivity. The greatest thing we can do for our kids is learn to focus on us, not them. We are always focusing on children, but we have to shift our focus to us, not to the children. Instead of anxiously trying to control your kids, let us concentrate on what we can control. That is calming our own emotional reactions. See, you are the only one you can control. You cannot control every other person or even your child or even your own emotional responses. Many of the emotional responses happens automatically. You have to learn how to regulate that. So if you are not under control, then you cannot be in charge of your child. As you behave immaturely when you are out of control. So you also behave immaturely when you are emotionally excited. So for us, we can only control ourselves. So whatever things you can directly control, that is called the sphere of control. And the rest, everything you can influence outside your direct control. So you can influence your child to be in a particular way or they behave, but you cannot directly control them. Then comes the sphere of concern. Everything you are concerned with or care about, regardless of your power of control. So actually our children, they are in the sphere of our influence initially, and after teenage, they will move on to the sphere of concern. So we have to realize that we cannot control them, but we can control only ourselves. The only way to retain a position of influence with your children is to regain a position of control over yourself. If you make sure you behave even when your kids misbehave, then you have a greater chance of positively influencing the situation. See, how can we have any influence on our children's decision making if we don't have an influence on our own? When we get reactive, we get regressive, we shrink back to an immature level of functioning. If we want to be influential, then we have to first bring ourselves under control. Only then we can choose our response. Only then we can choose how we want to behave, regardless of how our children choose to behave. So we have to control ourselves, our emotional responses, but not the child. See, whenever we are out of control, we may scream, we may manipulate them, we may use violence, we may neglect, we may avoid, we may withhold our love. These are all different examples of emotional reactivity from our side. The only way to retain a position of influence with our children is to regain a position of control over ourselves. Whenever we give in to our anxious reactivity, we help create the very outcome we are hoping to avoid or reacting against. I think we could hear the emotional reaction in a slight voice in this context also from some family. Your calm presence empowers you to become more available as an inspiration to your children, which engenders profound levels of trust and respect. Otherwise, you may be losing your trust and respect from your child. So, it is very important to be under control. Get your emotions under your control. So, the next point is begin with the end in mind, but let go of the final result. You have to foresee what is happening in the life, but whatever may be the result, let go it off. Because we can lead a horse to water, but we cannot make it drink. Likewise, we can focus on the process of parenting, but we cannot expect the results we are focusing on. So we cannot ever guarantee or control the end we desire. While working towards the end with all our might, we must let go of the craze towards it. Focus on the process than on the final product. Then the quality of the product will be quite natural. So you have to give importance to the process of parenting than the outcome or the behavior or the end product as children or adult. So our children are not machines, and parents are neither their operators nor their owners. So we cannot ever guarantee or control the end we desire. While working towards the end with all our might, we must let go of the craze towards it. The more you focus on producing the result for your child that you desire, the less chance your child has of authentically choosing that result for themselves. Whenever you are choosing the result for your child, they may not be able to do it for themselves. So we have to we have to rear a self-sufficient child who is capable of doing his things or her things by themselves. The more it becomes your goal, the less room they have to discover their own goal in life. While working towards the end, see, we have all fantasies about how our children will turn out. Our fantasies, however, become nightmares when our relationship with our child is not going well. By imagining what we would love others to say about us, we can see our deepest priorities and principles. So, what your child is expecting from you, that you have to imagine and work according to that. Thus, we can organize our present life around those principles, bringing into effect the result we have already imagined in our minds. So, visualize the type of adult you want your children to become and the type of relationship you would like to enjoy with them. Now try to visualize something. Visualize your youngest child at the age of 25. Now, your youngest child will be at 2 or 3 or 5 or 17 or 18, but you have to visualize them at the age of 25. Now, you have to ask yourself some questions. At the age of 25, do they have children? How would you rate your children as parents? Sometimes they will be parents, and at that age, how could you rate your children as parents? Then, do they have college degrees, master degrees, professional degrees, something like that? Then, what do they do for their income? Are your children married? For how long? And how would you rate their marriages? You have to visualize all these things, and you have to do according to these requirements. At the next level, what is their character at the age of 25 and what you have done for developing their character? What do their friends and spouse say about them? Their teachers, their bosses and co-workers say about them? How we could plan for that? How self-sufficient are they? How well do they take responsibility for their choices? Are they physically healthy and active? And what are your grandchildren's deepest values? How do they contribute to society? How do they carry themselves around others? How do they spend their alone time? What are their spiritual beliefs and how do these beliefs shape them as a person? Be concerned about all these questions and you have to design your parenting according to this. So recall again how old you will be at that time. Now you will be at the age of 30 or 35 or 40. But recall at what age you will be at when your youngest child is 25. Then how do you rate your own marriage? How healthy are you physically then? Where do you live? Are you still working or having retired? Or have you retired? Then how do you spend your days? Then how have you grown and matured? All these things you have to visualize now itself. How often do you see your own grandchildren? What type of relationship do you have with them? Are you close or distant? How much respect do you and your children have for each other as individuals? Are you still waiting for one of your children to grow up? Do you still support them financially? Do any of them still live under your roof? Do they live under one of theirs? How would you rate yourself as a grandparent? Are your grandchildren inspired by you, your success, and your maturity? How do they talk about you to their spouses, their friends, and their children? So you have to visualize all these things ahead and plan your parenting styles according to that. By intentionally focusing on the outcome we desire for tomorrow, we must encourage ourselves to take most effective actions today. If you want your child to become self-directed and capable adults, you have to face the truth that you cannot do it for them, but they themselves have to do. So we have to make our children self-sufficient and self-directed. If we want to produce self-directed adults, we each have to become one ourselves. We must be self-directed, not directed by the behavior of your child, especially in relationship with our children. This means creating space for them to make decisions and calming our anxiety about those decisions. This means teaching them the principles of life and then letting them decide whether to accept them and to follow them or to fight against them and suffer the consequences. So we have to make our children self-reliant and self-sufficient. So what self-directed people do? Know and pursue what they want in life. Gladly seek counsel from others, but ultimately makes up their own mind to what to do and what not to do. They demonstrate integrity, that is a consistency of beliefs, desires, words, and actions. Holds people accountable for their actions, but does not blame others for their own problems. Does not let others blame them for their problems, and gladly and quickly take a responsibility for their decisions. Welcomes criticism as feedback, but does not automatically accept it as truth. You have to be listening the criticism, but critically examine and then only accept it as truth. So these are the qualities of self-directed people. You have to make your children self-directed and self-sufficient. Those parents who have always dreaded thinking about the future, who had always needed their child to perform for their sake, but but not the child's self-direction, encounters the enormous battle of trying to rein the child in, while the child strains desperately to get more and more freedom. And this causes the power battle. Each would just blame the other for the problems it would create. So you have to make your child self-sufficient and let go of your emotional reactions. So you have to respect their personal boundaries. So what's a boundary? Boundaries are about your space and your place. Space is the emotional and physical territory you occupy in this world, while place is the fence around your space, the limits of your freedom as it bumps up against another people's space. So you have to be concerned about the space and the place. We will discuss it. In this space, we get to know our preferences, our temptations, and our tendencies. In this space, we have to learn about our strengths, our weaknesses, our needs, and our wants. It is within our space that we develop our sense of self and our sense of individuality. As parents, it is our responsibility to our children to create and maintain a family environment that encourages and honors this particular space. It is not your job to change the hearts of your children by telling them what to think or feel. We are often doing that, but it is not your job to do that. By trying to do something you aren't meant to do, you invade their personal space and violate their rights as people. Since this effort is led by your anxiety, you inevitably end up creating the very type of rebellious heart you were hoping to change in the first place. So you are actually trying to change the rebellious heart of your child, but you are encouraging them to be more rebellious when you are encroaching into their personal space. Learn to respect their feelings. So we have to learn to respect their feelings and their right to feel them. Actually, this actually increases the chance they will feel the way you hope to. Will feel the way you hope they to do. The same way that you respect this emotional space, you can give them a room or any physical space, call it theirs. So you have to give emotional space and a physical space. If it is their room, then it is up to them to keep, explore, clean or not clean, and organize it. That means no barging in, that we must not encroach into that particular physical space, like you are not encroaching the emotional space. You have to knock before entering. Ask if you may come in. Wait for them to invite you in. So this way you can show your respect to your child. You would like them to give you the same respect. You expect them to give this same respect, but you cannot expect that respect when you don't initiate and model it for your child. You are actually demanding respect from your child. For that, you have to show them how to respect the space of another person. We get reactive about their messy rooms because we think they are becoming slopes, that is, they are good for nothing. And we cannot let that happen because that would go against everything our parents taught. So it is very difficult for us to accept this particular truth. But what we have to do, what is always behind our inversion to their personal space is, of course, our own anxious reactivity. What if they start to hide stuff from me? Then what if they start to make some bad decisions? What if they have to struggle? What if they feel abandoned? What if they hurt themselves? What if many what if questions are there inside our mind to leave our child alone in their personal space. So we are so afraid of giving our kids their room because we fear what they might do with it. We might even think that giving them enough rope to hang themselves. So we are much concerned about giving the emotional space and physical space and constantly encroaching into their private space. So you have to think about the implication you are doing. Think about the implication of continually going through your teen room, looking for contrabands. That means whatever illegal things they are collecting. What does this teach your teen? To become better hiders. That means that you are not respecting their space and you are not accepting them as individuals. So they become better hiders then. It doesn't teach them that you are the best. That's for sure. The importance of giving your children increasing space as they age is far greater than the fear of what they might do with that space. So we have to give the emotional space and the physical space for our child. So, how to create the space for your child? So, respect their space and privacy. Calm your anxiety about their messy rooms and what they do. Respect their choices. Calm your anxiety to make sure that they feel the right way. Give up your need to know why, as it put them on defensive. We will be asking many why questions, why you are doing like this, why you are saying like this. Many why questions we are putting before them. But because of the immaturity of their brain, they are also confused. They just can't give the right answer to you, and they become naturally defensive of that. Let them struggle. You have to permit them to struggle. If not, you deny them the space needed to figure out things for themselves. Allow your kids to disagree with you and learn to respect their arguments. It is a very crucial thing for us. If they are arguing with us, we will be exploding at a greater sound. So we have to avoid that if you are looking for positive parenting. And also, rarely look your kids in their eye when talking with them, especially to boys. So whenever you are looking directly into their eyes, they feel as threatening or and encroaching into their personal space. Try to avoid these things. But we cannot leave them alone, all by alone. We have to establish stability and structure in our home. It is necessary. They are the necessary components in a healthy home. We have to ensure that. So what we have to do? Here comes we were discussing about the emotional and personal space. Now we have to think about the place, the boundaries. Place let us know where our freedom stops and someone else's freedom begins. Boundaries are both freeing and at the same time limiting. Freedom without limits will be disastrous. So space without place would be anarchy. So we have to give both space and define their place. No rules, no way to determine right or wrong, no means of discerning good guys from bad guys, no possibility of protection against predators, no way to order life at all. So all these things happen if we are not defining the real place for them, how to define their boundaries. Our responsibility is to provide our children with their own space by setting their place. This means giving them their room and letting it to be theirs. It also means letting them know what is most definitely not theirs. So parents have the very difficult task of setting limits on their children's space while respecting their freedom within the limits. Definitely it is tricky, but parenting isn't that easy. It is an opportunity for challenging growth. So space with So what we have to do? Instructing our children is not simply telling what to do. We must bring structure into their lives. Sometimes kids resist this particular structure we are trying to make or trying to give. Unfortunately, too many parents then blow up or run away. Either they give up or give in. Why does this happen? It happens because doing so is easier than standing on your principles in the face of adversity. Many times you will be losing your principles of life, and either you run away and give up while dealing with your teens. What we have to do actually, you love your kids, you love spending time with them, you love having fun with them, and you love those wonderful times of personal connection. Because of the intensity of these feelings, parents find it incredibly tempting to compromise their principles. So once parents move to that compromising level, the children can no longer look to the parents for stability and guidance. So you have to be principled, what you have to do. Some parents gravitate quickly towards disciplinarian road, that is authoritarian role, by exercising their power over those dependent on them, that is especially their children. They try to mask their feelings and inadequacy. It is actually their inadequacy of controlling themselves, and that is why they gravitate quickly towards the disciplinarian role. When it comes to providing structure for your family, balance is needed, and you have to avoid the extremities. You can choose to have a structure that is entirely too democratic, with no authority other than the consensus of all the family members. While giving the structure, you can discuss with your entire family members what will be the role played by each and every person, and all these things can be decided democratically. This style, but always ends up as a chaotic mess of anxiety-laden claims to unlimited space. Each and every person will demand for unlimited space, and this process will be a chaotic one. On the other hand, you can choose a structure that is entirely too autocratic, with nothing but extremely rigid, authoritarian rules to be followed or else. This style always ends up as a constructing mess of either reluctant compliance or desperate rebellion. See, your children and your other family members will be reluctantly compliancing with your demands, and or they will be rebelling desperately. Both these models are not good. Instead, what we have to do? See, actually, we don't like to watch our children make mistakes, and we don't like having to take the time and energy to enforce the consequences. So instead, we scream, we threaten them, hoping that it works. When it doesn't work, we scream some more, and then our screaming becomes the consequence itself. So we'll be constantly screaming with our teenagers, especially when they are not doing according to our wish and will. Definitely, this doesn't work, and we all recognize that fact. No one is learning or growing through this particular type of decisions. So what we have to do? See, our ability to calm ourselves down, even when our child seemingly go out of control, is the best way to set the table or set the place. Only then we can make decisions out of integrity. Only then when we are calm, can we decide what appropriate consequences need to be enforced in response to their behavior. The more our children are exposed to small consequences of their small violations, the less they will have to commit large breakings and experience large consequences in their later life. So this is called the inoculation theory. Inoculation theory. The earlier one gets exposed to life lessons, the less likely one will need the school of hard knocks later. So if they don't want to suffer later in their life, they must be permitted to face the consequences of their own decisions. But we are afraid of giving them the chance to face the consequence. That's the problem from our side. We have to let them face the consequences. Our anxiety tells us to protect our children at all costs. Do whatever it takes to ensure they make it out of our responsibility alive and well. Our anxiety tells us the worst thing imaginable is for our children to experience pain. So we had better do whatever it takes to avoid that, even if it messes our protecting them. So because of our anxiety, we imagine the worst experience for our children when they are when they are facing the consequences and we overprotect them. So that is not the better way, the positive way to deal with our children. Even if it means smothering them and never letting them out of our sight. Even if it means neglecting to enforce consequences, even if it means helping them avoid consequences, we are always overprotecting our children, even though they move against our wish and will. So what we have to do? We have to make them face the consequences. Choosing to welcome consequences in your home enables you to take a different positions altogether. When you choose to welcome consequences, you choose to become a life guide for your children, walking alongside them as they struggle and suffer. You position yourself as a leader who operates in reality. You recognize that the law of showing and repeating is the law of sowing and reaping is bigger than you, bigger than your child's emotional explosions, and bigger than your anxiety. So let them reap their own sowing. That is, let them face the consequences of their own decisions. Consequences are a constant source of truth, experience, and education. They often hurt and lead us to feel pain, embarrassment, and regret. They are but they are here to help us, and they are available to help you raise your children. So let them face the consequences. So while designing the consequences for your child, you have to take care of something. There are no shortcuts to setting or enforcing consequences. Choose only those consequences that you are willing to enforce. Only choose consequences you are willing to endure yourself. If only you are able to endure that yourself, you can establish the consequence clearly for your child. Don't ever set a consequence that is tougher for you to enforce than it is for them to endure. So you have to take care that whatever consequences you are providing for your child must be endurable by yourself. So let them face the consequences. So constant enforcement of consequences is the single most effective application of authority in the parent-child relationship, but only if you can think through your decisions calmly before you make them. So you have to control your emotional outbursts before making the decisions about the consequences. By doing so, you greatly increase the chance that those decisions will be sensible, realistic, and helpful in facilitating everyone's growth. So be concerned about the consequence you select for your child. Then, your resistance is actually futile. So you have to avoid power struggles with your child and keep yourself cool. Even when the child is exploding emotionally, you must learn how to keep your cool. Then only you can be positive parents. When child exert their will, most parents view it as a direct challenge to their authority and usually push counterattacks. But see it different in a different eye. If your child's developing growth, in your child's developing growth, they are constantly testing you. For what? In doing so, they are not plotting an invasion or laying an ambush, but they are testing you to see if you can be trusted, whether you are dependable, stable, and consistent. So whenever they are giving a emotional challenge to you, don't lose your cool. They are actually testing you, whether you are consistent, whether you can be trusted, whether you are dependable, and whether you are stable. During extreme winter, I'm giving an example. During extreme winter, seemingly stronger trees were losing their branches to the heavy snow, while the supple willow tree simply allowed the snow to glide off its branches. So in willow trees, they will bend under the weight of the snow and the snow will be flowing down, while the weight of the snow will break the branches of other stronger trees. This willow uses the weight of the snow and bends with it rather than attempting to overpower it. This approach to conflict necessitates a willingness to learn about the other, a willingness to carefully observe the other and his or her momentum. So this is the principle of judo. So for positive parenting, you have to follow the judo parenting. Only then you can know how to respond. So don't react to your child emotionally when they are emotionally excited, but you have to keep your cool, be aware of what they are actually for, and respond accordingly in a calm way. So the best way to give your advice to your children is to find what they want actually, and then advise them to do it. So instead of struggling with them, you must know what your child actually needs and you have to respond accordingly. Before and after engaging in judo match, opponents bow to each other. Bowing is an expression of gratitude and respect, thanking your opponent for giving you the opportunity to improve yourself. Be in the battle with your child, be the first to bow to your children, not out of difference, but out of respect and gratitude. Hopefully, one day they will bow in return, but even if they don't, you will have grown much. The last point is mind your language and communication. Your children are a work in progress. Their fates are undetermined. Their personalities are yet to be locked in place. Even their looks will change over time. You have to become a champion for your children's continued evolution. They are not matured fully, they are still evolving. So don't label them either positively or negatively. മിടുക്കനാണ്, ചട്ടമ്പിയാണ്, ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള ബ്രാൻഡുകൾ ലേബലിംഗ് അവർക്ക് കൊടുക്കാതിരിക്കുക. എന്തുകൊണ്ട്? യു ആർ യുവർ children's best influence, biggest influence, and what you think and say about them may shape them more than any other forces in the universe. Champion their evolution and watch them grow. So don't label them either positively or negatively. Let them grow by themselves. You have to keep your promises. It communicates that the world has a greater order to it. People are accountable to one another. If you are breaking the promises, they feel that they are not accountable. They are not accountable to their words and deeds. See, whenever you are keeping promises, they feel that authorities can be trusted. You as an authority can be trusted. Words and actions have meaning and power. In this crazy and chaotic life, promises still matters. All these you are communicating while you are keeping your promises. So start emphasizing that doing the work or having excellent, So provide reinforcement for positive behavior and correction of misbehavior by pointing out the goodness of the desirable behavior instead of arguing with them. Encourage children to get involved in community service projects or other opportunities to help others. And emphasize that doing the work or having excellent marks or helping other person is a reward in its own. So don't bribe them with gifts, but you have to make them learn that whatever good things they are doing, it is a reward in itself. Otherwise, we will be creating a briber in the later life. So likewise, we must not do empty threats. Empty threats are like broken promises. It also affects the integrity of the person. If sometimes we will be telling them that we will be doing like that if you are doing like this. You will be facing the consequence X if you are doing the thing as Y. But because of our love towards them, we may excuse that. That also affects them, their integrity. it comes down to integrity. It is very important for your children to believe that what you say is what you honestly believe and will actually do. So do what you say and say what you do. Be a model for that integrity before your children. Now you have to shift your language from you statements to I statements. So what are you statements? Whenever you are using you statements, you are constantly pointing on the other person or your child. But you have to shift on to I statements. That is, you have to explain how you feel by yourself. For example, I'm giving some examples for that. See, whenever you are telling, many a times we will be telling that you are always busy with your phone. It's a constant thing happening in the teenage life. But what we have to say instead, I feel unappreciated when you are always on your phone. നീ എപ്പോഴും ഫോണിലാണ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നതിന് പകരം നമുക്ക് എന്ത് പറയാം? എപ്പോഴും മോൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മോൾ ഫോൺ ഉപയോഗിക്കുമ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് അത് ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടായിട്ട് തോന്നുന്നു. നീ ചെയ്യുന്നത് തെറ്റാണ് എന്നല്ല, അവർ ചെയ്യുന്ന പ്രോസസ്സ് നമുക്കെങ്ങനെ ഫീൽ ചെയ്യുന്നു എന്നാണ് നമ്മൾ പറയേണ്ടത്. അവരിലേക്ക് വിരൽ ചൂണ്ടുന്നതിന് പകരം നമുക്കത് എങ്ങനെ മനസ്സിലായി, നമ്മളെ അതെങ്ങനെ ഇമോഷണലി അഫക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നു എന്ന കാര്യമാണ് പറയുന്നത്. ബിക്കോസ് യു ക്യാൻ കൺട്രോൾ ഓൺലി യു, not the other person. So this type of communication is called I statement, using the I statements. See, inside our home, we have to shift the communication style from you to I. We must know how to frame the I statements, both in English and Malayalam. Why should I always do what you say? നീ പറയുന്നപ്പോഴും ഞാൻ എന്തിനാ ചെയ്യുന്നത്? അവിടെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻസ് നീ എന്ന കാര്യത്തിലാണ്. പകരം എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം? ഐ വിഷ് ടു ബി കൺസിഡേർഡ് വൺസ് എ വൈൽ ടു. എൻ്റെ ആഗ്രഹങ്ങളും പലപ്പോഴും ഒക്കെ നടക്കണ്ടേ എന്ന് നമ്മളിലേക്ക് വിരൽ ചൂണ്ടിക്കൊണ്ട് നമുക്ക് പറയാം. ഫ്രണ്ട്സ് ആർ മോർ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻറ്റ് ടു യു ദാൻ യുവർ ഫാമിലി. നിനക്ക് നിന്റെ കൂട്ടുകാരാണല്ലോ വലുത്. പലപ്പോഴും ഉപയോഗിക്കേണ്ടി വരുന്ന ഒരു സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെന്റ് ആണ്. പകരം നമുക്ക് എങ്ങനെ പറയാം? വെൻ വി ഡോണ്ട് ഗെറ്റ് ടു സ്പെൻഡ് ടൈം ടുഗദർ ആസ് ഫാമിലി, ഐ ഫീൽ അൺവാണ്ടഡ് ആൻഡ് ഡിസ്കണക്റ്റഡ് ഫ്രം യു. നമ്മളൊരു കുടുംബമായിട്ട് ഒന്നിച്ചിരിക്കുന്ന സമയങ്ങളിൽ ഇല്ലാതെ വരുമ്പോൾ മോനെപ്പോഴും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മകളെപ്പോഴും മറ്റു കൂട്ടുകാരോടൊപ്പം പോകുമ്പോൾ അമ്മയ്ക്ക് അച്ഛന് ആരുമില്ലാത്തതുപോലെ തോന്നും. നമ്മൾ നമ്മുടെ ഇമോഷൻസ് ആണ് കൺവേ ചെയ്യുന്നത്, അല്ലാതെ അവരിലേക്ക് വിരൽ ചൂണ്ടുന്നില്ല. യു ഓൾവേസ് ഡു ദിസ് ടു മീ എന്ന്, നീ എപ്പോഴും എന്നോട് ഇങ്ങനെയൊക്കെയാണ് കാണിക്കുന്നത് എന്ന് പറയുന്നതിന് പകരം ഐ ഫീൽ ഓവർവെൽംഡ് ഡൂയിങ് തിങ്സ് ഫോർ യു. നിനക്ക് വേണ്ടി കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ എപ്പോഴും ഇങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യേണ്ടി വരുമ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് വളരെ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുകൾ തോന്നാറുണ്ട് എന്ന് നമ്മുടെ കൺസേൺ അവരോട് പറയാം. യു ഹാവ് നോ ടൈം ഫോർ മീ. എനിക്ക് വേണ്ടി ചിലവഴിക്കാൻ നിനക്ക് സമയമില്ല, വീടിന് വേണ്ടി ചിലവഴിക്കാൻ നിനക്ക് സമയമില്ല എന്ന് പറയുന്നതിന് പകരം ഐ ഫീൽ ലൈക്ക് ഐ എം ഡൂയിങ് ദിസ് അലോൺ. ഞാൻ ഒറ്റയ്ക്ക് ഇതൊക്കെ ചെയ്യേണ്ടി വരുന്നു എന്ന വിഷമം നമുക്ക് അവരോട് കൺവേ ചെയ്യാം. സോ എങ്ങനെ ഐ സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെൻറ്റ്സ് ഫ്രെയിം ചെയ്യാം? ഇത് നമ്മുടെ കമ്മ്യൂണിക്കേഷന് വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആയിരിക്കുന്ന ഒരു കാര്യമാണ്. അത് ഫാമിലി കമ്മ്യൂണിക്കേഷനിലാണെങ്കിലും നമ്മുടെ വർക്ക് പ്ലേസിലെ കമ്മ്യൂണിക്കേഷൻ ആണെങ്കിലും വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആണ്. മറ്റുള്ളവർ എന്ത് ചെയ്തു എന്നതിലല്ല, നമുക്കതെങ്ങനെ ഫീൽ ചെയ്തു എന്ന കാര്യമാണ് നമ്മൾ കൺവേ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ഇൻസ്റ്റെഡ് ഓഫ് ഫീലിങ്സ് ആൻഡ് സിറ്റുവേഷൻസ്, ഗിവ് ആൻ എക്സാമ്പിൾ ഓഫ് ദ സൊല്യൂഷൻ. Whenever you are dealing with the other person, you are pointing your fingers at others and it is a problematic situation. Instead of that, you have to provide what solution you are expecting. So this is the general format of framing an I statement. I feel what you feel emotionally. When you do like this, you have to explain the situation for that. Because I would like, I want you to be like this. What I feel, what I actually demand is like this. What I really want is like this. Would you consider this? So this is the general format of I statements. You can read about the usage of I statements from many sites are providing this particular thing. So be an expert of using the I statements inside the family. Don't use the you statement because they are actually threatening or attacking the other person. And also, the nature of communication we are doing inside our home to our children is very important. The language we are using. You can see the parents, how the parents are communicating. If you do not study, you will end up like this, end up like him. that is a negative statement. Instead, you can keep that in a very positive way. If you study well, you will be able to make a better world for him. Likewise, you have to give importance to the positive side of any aspect. So try to avoid negative communications. So these are some insights from Tirukural. If your children lie to you often regarding the communication, definitely I think I could end up by 8:30. If your children lie to you often, it is because you overreact too harshly to their inappropriate behavior. If your children are not taught to confess you about their mistakes, you might have lost them. So you must teach them to confess about their mistakes. They must have the freedom to do that. Don't overreact and control your emotions. If your children had poor self-esteem, it is because you advise them more than you encourage them. If your children do not stand up for themselves, it is because from a young age you have disciplined them regularly in public. If your children take things that do not belong to them, it is because when you buy them things, you don't let them choose what they want. If your children are cowardly, it is because you help them too quickly. If your children do not respect other people's feelings, it is because instead of speaking, you order and command them. Only you are avoiding that. They know how to respect other people. You have to model that yourself. If your children are too quick to anger, it is because you give too much attention to misbehavior and you give little attention to good behavior. So give more importance to good behavior than misbehavior. If your children are excessively jealous, it is because you congratulate them only when they are successful. They successfully complete something, or not when they improve at something, even if they don't successfully complete it. So you have to appreciate their improvement, not the success. We have discussed that earlier. Leave the end result, but give importance to the process they are going through. If your children intentionally disturbs you, it is because you are not physically affectionate enough. They are trying to get your attention. If your children are openly disobedient, it is because you openly threaten to do something but don't follow through. So empty threats must not be there. If your child is secretive or they are hiding something, it is because they are sure that you would blow things out of proportion. That means you will emotionally explode and you will overreact. So that makes them secretive. So control yourself. If your children back answer to you, it is because they watch you do it to others and think it is a normal behavior. If your children don't listen to you but listen to others, it is because you are too quick to jump to conclusions about them. If your children rebel, it is because they know you care more about what others think than what is right. That is why they generally rebel. So, I think it is 8:30 and the right time to stop. And these are my insights regarding the positive parenting. And always remember that parenting is about the parent, not about the child. You have to be in the control of yourself to be a positive parent. Thank you for a pleasant hearing.
Swamiji, it was exceptional as usual. Thank you very much. Proud to have you in this platform and in this series of extension programs. Well begun is half done. Thank you very much. Participants, don't leave. 2-3 important announcements for you. First announcement is that tomorrow sharp at 7:30 there is another extension program by the extension wing of Martha's Training College, and it's going to be. I would like to be the resource person for tomorrow, and it's on psychology of teaching and learning. That is the topic, psychology of teaching and learning. And in Malayalam, the topic is Adhyavanathinte Manashastram. Hope you will enjoy that. The same time, the same link, same time, same link tomorrow. That is first part of it. Then it would be great if possible, if some of you can switch on the video so that we can take a screenshot now. If possible, please, if possible, switch on the video. 1 second. Can you please switch on the video if possible? Okay, so now it's 8:28. It's 8:28. We don't have a lot of time for discussions today. I think there is no need of discussion at all because the talk was very comprehensive. Sanila, if possible, take a screenshot of the whole thing. Thank you very much, participants. We are really delighted that all of you turned up today. So for the tomorrow session, if possible, join. It will be an enriching session, I hope. And you can share the link to your friends and family and colleagues so that they will also benefit. Okay, that's it. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Audible.
Or audible. Okay. Sanila, shall we go for the vote of thanks?
Yes.
And you can, while the vote of thanks is going on, you can share 2 links to join the extension programs of Martha's Training College. And at the end, you can share the sheet for feedback as well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Swami. Let me welcome Smriti S. Pillai for the vote of thanks. Please, Smriti.
Thank you, Sanla. Am I audible?
Yes, Smriti, please.
Respected principal in charge, Dr. Jojo John, today's resource person, Swamiji, extension wing coordinator, Shiny ma'am, IQAC coordinator, Deepti ma'am, and all other dignitaries who are gathered here, a warm good evening one and all. Acknowledging the good that you already have in your life is the foundation for all abundance. And it's my pleasure to propose vote of thanks in this occasion. First of all, I thank God Almighty for giving me this opportunity. Let me express my sincere gratitude to our Swamiji for the valuable and wonderful evening that have given for us. It was a wonderful evening for all the parents and all who are gathered here. All the tips and tricks that is given for about the positive parenting. That is, parenting is a process that prepare your child for independence, and all the tricks are valuable for making our children an independent. So it is always advisable and a very great talk by Swamiji. And on behalf of all present here, I propose my great thanks to Swamiji in this occasion. Thank you, Swamiji. Next, I express my sincere gratitude to our Jojo John sir for all his support and guidance for doing all our endeavors. His timely guidance and support and vision make all the programs a great success. Thank you, sir. Let me express my sincere thanks to Extension Wing Coordinator Shiny Jacob ma'am and IQAC Coordinator Deepti ma'am for organizing this program and making a great success. Thank you, teachers. Last but not least, I express my sincere thanks to...
Hello, ANSI teacher for the technical support, please.
Okay, sir. And also I express my sincere thanks to our ANSI teacher for giving us all the technical support for this session. And last but not least, I also express my sincere thanks to all the dignitaries gathered over here and all the parents over here for making this occasion a great success. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, dear friends. Thank you, Smriti, for that. I would like to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for having joined this program and for having made this program a grand success. Thank you very much. Sanila, if possible, you can play national anthem, Sanila. Please try for that. Let me conclude. Meanwhile, you can prepare for playing the national anthem. I would like to thank all of you. Hope you will pop up at 6:50 tomorrow for yet another exceptional extension being program for the society and for teachers. And kindly fill in the feedback form and join the one of the two WhatsApp groups named Positive Parenting, so that we'll be sending the link and the brochure of all the extension wing programs organized at Martha Plus Training College. It's you who have made this program a success, and I'm thrilled and I'm really happy that many people turned up today and made this program a success. Thank you. Thanks a lot. God bless you all. Thank you. God bless. Thank you. Sanila, can you?
Shall I, sir?
Yeah.
Nancy ma'am, you are playing now?
Yeah, please. Answer teacher, please.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Please. Let's all
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you once again. Please try to come tomorrow. Thank you. God bless.
थैंक यू जोजू सर.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
मैं पटना बिहार से हूँ.
Yeah, thank you, sir.